And I hope you're having a great first week of classes. Thank you so much for everybody that posted an introduction up to the D2L week 1 page. If you've just added the class, there are a few of you that just added since Monday. Please, I'm going to leave that discussion post open. Go ahead and go in and introduce yourself and look around and familiarize yourself with your fellow students that will be joining us in the class for the semester. So as you guys probably saw when you looked through the discussions, we've got about half of the class that are anthropology majors and that have taken quite a few anthropology courses, and about the other half of you who have never taken an anthro course before. And that's great. I didn't attach any prerequisites to this course on purpose so that liberal studies majors from across Montana and beyond could also participate and enjoy and learn about what medical anthropology is. However, to catch everybody up with what anthropology is, I've posted a few great links in the week 1 content section. So you'll see the first one is explaining what anthro is and the 4 subfields of anthropology. And the second link takes you directly to the Society for Medical Anthropology webpage, where you can read more about what medical anthropology is. And so just to give you a little bit more surrounding that discussion, I wanted to introduce you all to our subfield of anthropology. And please, again, after watching this video, refer back to those links. So anthropology is quite a broad field. If we look at what the word means, the word anthropology comes from 2 Greek words, anthropos meaning human, and logos meaning thought or reason. So essentially, studying human behavior past and present. And so you can see this is quite broad. And so to categorize our field a bit more, over the years we have categorized anthropology into 4 different subfields. And so again, follow along with the first link that I posted under week 1, but let's just go through the 4 subfields together. So we have archaeology, and so I'm sure this is the one that a lot of people have heard of. So archaeologists go and they dig in the ground and they look for both fossils, human remains, and also for artifacts. An artifact could be a stone tool, it could be a piece of art that had been used in historic times, and they work to better understand where we came from as humans and our past. So that's the first subfield, archaeology. The second subfield of anthropology, and they're in no particular order. So the second one is linguistic anthropology, and there we have anthropologists studying language and the relationships between language and human life. And to get a little bit more in detail, there are 3 different types of linguistic anthropology. So we have historical linguists who study language change over time, how languages are related to one another. I'm sure you've learned about language families, and so the folks that put those together and try to better understand how different language families relate to others, those are historical linguists. Then we have descriptive linguists. They study more kind of the nitty-gritty of language, so phonology, sounds of language, syntax, morphology, how words are put together to form sentences, and so on. So very mathematical, that type of linguistics. And the third part are sociolinguistics, so they're really studying more the relationship between language and culture, and other societal factors, like let's say language and ethnicity, or language and gender. Language and place, language and meaning. So those are the things that go under sociolinguistics, if you've ever heard that term. All right, so we've covered archaeology, we've covered linguistic anthropology. Then we have biological or physical anthropology. You can use those words interchangeably. And those anthropologists study biological development of humans. So you might have some biological anthropologists that are studying biological development from past societies, so they'll work a lot with archaeologists. You have a lot of biological anthropologists studying biological development in current time, and they might work a lot with cultural anthropologists. So cultural anthropology is our 4th subdiscipline, and those anthropologists, of which I am one, We study norms and values of society, human behavior, what makes humans tick today and present day, but around the world. So we do have a large geographic scope that we study. So you're probably asking, where does medical anthropology fit into all this? And that's a very good question. So again, so far I've talked about the 4 different subdisciplines of anthropology. So that first link that I posted on week 1. And medical anthropology, it's a pretty new field. And it kind of rests in the middle of cultural anthropology and biological anthropology. Because as medical anthropologists, we are trying to answer questions such as, what are those factors that impact one's health and well-being, sort of broadly defined. And while we have doctors kind of trying to better understand what's happening within the body, a lot of times medical anthropologists will spend time looking at external factors. So for example, how does culture impact one's health? How does one's environment that they live in impact one's health? So as I'm saying this, try to think of some examples. I mean, how your environment could impact your health. How does the political situation of the place that you're living, how could that impact something like food security or nutrition? So the second link I posted comes right from the Society of Medical Anthropology, and I really encourage you to look at that because there are many, many different types of issues that medical anthropologists study. So for my dissertation, I worked in northwestern Nepal, and I looked at how the first road ever to be built in this section of the country impacted or is impacting villagers' food security, not only how much food they were able to acquire, but the quality of food. I also looked at nutritional status and how the road impacted nutritional status amongst men, women, kids, the elderly. And the last thing, I looked at how the road impacted locals' well-being, so their subjective well-being, how they would explain the quality of life. So that's just, one tiny little fraction of what one could study as a medical anthropologist. We also, broadly speaking, as a subdiscipline of anthropology, also spend time assessing the meaning. What does illness and sickness mean to different people depending on where they live in the world? Also look at different types of healing. So in the West, so in the US, I'm sure a lot of you have grown up thinking about biomedicine, so allopathic medicine, Western medicine, as sort of the way to cure sickness and disease and illness. But there are a lot of other types of healing that go on in the world. So medical anthropologists spend quite a bit of time assessing those different healing modalities. So just to give you a few examples, most indigenous cultures have their own traditional healing system. We'll learn a bit about that throughout the semester. Tibetan healing, Ayurvedic medicine, and those are, certainly gaining traction here in the West. But as anthropologists, we don't ever think that one healing modality is superior to others, and try to understand what those different ones are and how they interact with each other. So please, hopefully that helps a little kind of situate where medical anthropology is within the 4 fields of anthropology and what anthropology is sort of on the whole. So again, the study of humans past and present, if somebody asks you. And you'll really start to see, I think, throughout the semester how applicable anthropology courses are to many facets of life, because of course human behavior transcends into the field of economics, the field of political science, the field of nursing. We're all humans, so better understanding what makes humans tick, I think, is valuable for just about anybody. All right, so I'm going to conclude this video, but I want to very quickly give you all an update for the week. So again, thanks for posting the introductions. You're now all for Sunday's response broken up into smaller groups. So I would recommend you guys go back to the introductions and, read about the people that are in your group so you know them a bit better. And for Sunday night, so you have a few days, but I want you all to read the reading for week 1. It's called Anthropology in the Field of Medicine. I love this chapter because it gives you concrete examples of what medical anthropologists do. And I think you'll really kind of better understand this as we move through the week. And if this is your first anthro class, don't feel overwhelmed. Please feel free to email me with any questions you have, and certainly take the time to read that in full. And the discussion, you will be answering 2 questions, and you'll see them right under the week 1 post. So I look forward to reading those. Again, those are due Sunday night. And again, take some time to read through the links of what is anthropology, especially for those of you whose first anthropology experience is this semester. All right, take care and have a great rest of your week.